when right, I knew what the pharmaceuticals do, but I also knew the side effects. Mm-hmm. And so as a mom, when I was looking at making that decision for my son through the lens of not just my nursing background, but as his mother, I just wasn't ready to go that route. And I was disappointed that it was the only thing that was offered to me.
Aloha,
everybody.
Welcome to the UnAlteredE experience. My name is Alexander. We're probably being too loud. Remember, it's a fist away.
Okay. Yeah.
And you're always peeking out, so keep it a fist away. It's just her high voice, but it's not really high, but it's like every once in a while it's like
it comes through the microphone.
Yeah. So
my name is Sarah.
My name's Alexander. That's my wife.
That's my man.
And once again, this is the UnAlteredE experience. And I'm going to say it again. We're going to have a bumper before this video, but we're probably not. We're making no claims at all.
None.
Zero claims.
No claims.
And what does that mean?
That means that we are not saying that any of this is going to work for you. We're not saying we have some magical miracle solution.
We're not saying that oils work. What we're saying is that we are bringing you
Kami's personal essential oil experiences.
That's right. And that's all we're bringing you.
Yep.
And what who these work for is her. The reason why we're bringing these to you is because what if they worked for you? What if they worked for us? What if they worked for our children? I want to know. Just as a regular person that does use oils, I want to know, oh, you have some insight? They worked for you? I want them to work for us. So I'll try it. And maybe you will too.
That's right.
So once again, Kami Schaal, welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. How are you today?
I am good, thanks.
Excellent, excellent. So is your favorite color blue?
No, my favorite color is purple.
Oh.
And she's wearing purple, right? That's purple? Blue, purple.
Blue.
Yeah.
That's like a burple. Yeah.
Yeah, that's his favorite color too.
I like the jewel tones.
Purple's my favorite.
Background, so
perfect.
To match.
Perfect.
And your hair, like all of it, you're very
gosh.
matching.
Awesome. All right, well,
I try.
That's good. I don't. As you can see, I'm wearing shorts and like a t-shirt, but that's okay because this is my friend.
He's been meaning to shave for like 3 days. It'll
that's
happen.
All right. Hey, you know what? This is all about oils, not about personal hygiene. Although I use the oils for personal hygiene.
And he does shower, so he's got fine personal hygiene for Pete's sake.
Every once in a while, 4 or 5 days, I'll shower when everybody can't be in the same room as me.
When Sarah is begging you to shower.
That's right.
Well, that's the second day. So when the kids can't handle me, then it's like, oh, now it's time to jump in.
He's kidding. He showers every day.
No, I don't shower every day. I bath every day.
Yeah, he takes a bath every day, you guys. Every night, this man.
With my 3-year-old son, we take our bath and we play dinosaurs and we look for crawdads in the pool and the thing. And we have waterfalls. It's awesome.
It's very sweet. Yeah, it's sweet bonding time.
I like it.
All right, so Kami, we are so excited to have you here on the show. Why don't we start out with you telling us a little bit about yourself and actually, let's start there.
Okay. So I am a nurse. Well, I'm a mom. First of all, I'm a mom. I have 3 kids. They're all teenagers. So send prayers. Be nice.
Yeah.
Having a house full of teenagers has been very interesting. Our youngest turned 13 in May. So it was like, wow, all 3. They're awesome, though. I have a daughter. She's my eldest, and then 2 boys. My middle son, Jeffrey, is autistic, so I'm also a special needs mom. You go on that journey, not necessarily, you don't sign up for it necessarily, so we got thrust there.
Quick question. I know there's all levels of autism,
and
I'm sure we'll get into it later, but really quick, what level is he at, or where is he?
So, there's so much truth to the saying that once you've met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person, because they're all so different.
Yeah.
And for Jeffrey, he is high functioning as far as hygiene and communication and social skills, actually, which is something that most autistic individuals really struggle with.
Yep.
He is highly social and he desires social interaction.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Cognitively, he is delayed, and academically, he's delayed. He's going into his senior year of high school, but probably on a 3rd or 4th grade level, reading, math. You transition more to sort of the life skills, jobs and that kind of stuff. But he loves it. He's highly motivated. He has things that he absolutely loves. And I will tell you, I am blessed that the hygiene thing is like, he can take a shower. He can,
nice.
He can brush his teeth. Like he needs some reminders and prompts, but he doesn't need us to physically help him in that way. So that has been a blessing.
That's awesome.
and it's great that he's so social, because he loves to be with people. And what's really cool about him, which you don't really know, right? You get this diagnosis and you're like, I don't know what this means. All I know is my kid. And once they start school, you interact with other special needs kids, but they're all so different. Like I said, I mean, they all they're just so different and so great in their own ways. But what was interesting with Jeffrey is he really engages with music. And so
nice.
he taught himself how to play guitar.
What?
Oh,
And
that's
he
awesome.
plays in our church worship band.
Yes.
Nice.
Yep.
That is
Acoustic
cool.
and electric. And it was the craziest experience. Do you mind if I share?
Yeah, please. Yeah, go for it.
So he's always loved music. He's always engaged with music. And we had a music therapist. We were actually really lucky. My daughter's piano teacher was getting her music therapy education. And so she kind of used Jeffrey as like, somebody during her schooling. So we got free music therapy.
That's amazing.
That's
That's
awesome. It was
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
And she started to notice that he had really great tone, that he was able to hold a note, that he would pick up on things. Like, he was very intuitive musically. And then we were cleaning out the attic one day, and my husband had an acoustic guitar, and Jeffrey grabbed it. And he was like, go ahead and use it. And it just was, it was not music. It was just strumming. But he would walk around the house and just strum with it. And, probably did that for a few years. We have a wonderful church community. So the band director for our junior high band and encouraged him to be up on stage. They would not plug him in. He would just strum, kind of feel like he was a part of it. And then the summer between 8th grade and 9th grade, so he was going to be transitioning into high school, and the high school band is a little bit more, there's more expected of the kids. Yeah. And so the band director was very nervous because she wanted him to be involved, but it was also, the structure needed to be there, whatever. And I was home, and I was actually listening, or he was listening to something on his iPad. I didn't know what it was. It was really quiet. He was just holding his guitar like he normally does. And I was upstairs studying for an exam, so it was quiet. But I hear him strumming, and all of a sudden I'm able to realize what song he's playing. And I was like, oh no, I know what song that is. It was 10,000 Reasons by Matt Redman. And I was like, and I walked downstairs, and I looked at his hands, and he had the chords completely. So he had been watching worship music tutorials on YouTube and learned the chords. And
That's
he's got
awesome.
fine motor skill issues. Like, it was incredible. And now his repertoire, he's just totally exploded his musical ability.
That's so awesome.
It's incredible.
That is so awesome.
That is super incredible. Thank you for sharing that. And that's really healthy for him. He has something that's his.
He has something that's his. And I will say, from an academic perspective, he's improved. And I've talked to his neurologist about it. And she said, there's research to show that, music is helpful for brain development, but especially when you're able to sing and play music at the same time, the right and left brain are able to cross. And so you actually, those connections between the right and left brain get stronger and stronger. So he's actually gotten better verbally. He's gotten better academically. I think it's really boosted his neurological capacity as well. And
That's
his
awesome.
was so sweet. His, when he was confirmed at our church, what they do is a testimony. They actually write out a testimony and, speak it to the church. That's something that Jeffrey would have a really hard time doing. So he sang a song. He sang and played a song for the whole church as his confirmation testimony.
That is so awesome.
Which probably everyone felt the spirit even more, because it was like, music does such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if anybody exudes the Holy Spirit in my family, it's Jeffrey, because he does not, the beauty of his disability is that he has zero concern about his self-esteem or are people talking about me. Like, he cognitively doesn't get that. So he's not a typical teenager as far as, oh no, are people looking at me, or am I cool, or
He's the best type of human.
He's like, hey, I'm here, I'm awesome. He
Yeah.
walks around and people respond to that. He walks
Totally.
around high school like that, down the hallways, super confident, and the kids respond to that.
Of course.
They don't look, they're just like, yeah, you're a rock star. We know, high fives. And
That's so awesome.
It's so awesome.
And it's so funny. It's just that little bit of confidence, or a lot, but everybody recognizes it. And yeah, it's so awesome.
It's probably good for your other kids to see too, that it's possible to not care what other people think about you.
I listened to I listen to a number of podcasts. One of the podcasts is a comedian, and he says, when you go up on stage, and he's super famous, but he's bombed plenty of times. And he says, if you go to these small shows and a person comes on stage and they're bombing, but they have confidence and they're like, I don't care, I'm here. Way different audience as opposed to like, and a little bit of lack of confidence, and they'll just jump on it. And that just goes across the board. That's so awesome that he has that confidence and he doesn't let.
I sometimes wish I did, especially as a teen.
I know, right?
Oh man.
Like if I could have walked around the high school hallways like my son does, man, it would have been a totally different experience.
That's funny.
I mean, even as an adult, right? We're like, hey, I'm growing my business. What's up, everybody? Confidence makes such a big difference.
I'm here, and this is what I have to offer you.
Yeah.
And I know, what makes me awesome.
Yeah.
And that's what Jeffrey, like, he's just like, this is who I am. You got to love me. What's not to love? I mean, that's the way he walks around.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I feel that in certain areas, MMA or martial arts, I'm beyond the roof, confident, technological things and certain things with designing and stuff. But then other things I just kind of mellowed out. I push myself up to seem like I'm confident, but it's just like I run around normal. But it's amazing that if I felt this confident as I do in certain things all the time, what happens,
Oh, yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So let's bring it back a little bit. Where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in Houston, Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Everything's bigger and better in Texas, right?
Yep. Yeah, I moved, but we actually moved to New Jersey when I was 12. So that like middle school experience was me leaving like such a culture shift, leaving Texas
to Jersey.
Yeah. And they're
hard,
like night and day. Yeah. I always say I lost my accent because everybody will say, you don't sound like you're from Texas. I'm like, when you move when you're in 6th grade, you lose that accent really fast. Because that was being different in 6th grade. You don't want to be different. And here I was, Southern drawl.
Hey, y'all.
Yeah. And like, cowboy boots, and I'd never seen snow before. And I mean, the whole.
That's so awesome. So did you develop a Jersey accent?
I'm a little bit of a chameleon, especially like with my language. So if I'm around somebody long enough, I can pick up different accents. So if I talk to my dad, he's still in Texas. When I talk to him on the phone, if I'm on the phone with him for a long time, my husband will be like, oh my gosh, you sound like, I start to sound like I still live there. So yeah, Jersey, I picked up a little bit of it. We live in Pennsylvania now. So
nice.
That's a little bit less of an accent difference.
How are you liking Pennsylvania?
We love Pennsylvania.
We
moved here after college. My husband and I met in college, and we moved. I mean, we're a mile from New Jersey, so it's not like we're like in central Pennsylvania. We're just like right outside of Philadelphia. But I really love Pennsylvania. It's a beautiful area. We live in Bucks County. It's green, and there's mountains, and the river's right here, and we're not far from the beach, and it's nice, centrally located.
That's awesome. Nice. That sounds.
So when you were growing up, how was the eating situation, the food, the nutrition situation?
So my mom was crunchy before crunchy was cool.
Oh, nice.
That's what I always say. So I grew up, my mom was an amazing cook and very much into nutrition for herself and for us. And so when she had the time, she worked full time, and she was a single mom when I was younger. But she did the best that she could. And she really believed in making your own food. Like she made my own baby food. She breastfed my sister and I until we were toddlers back when that was not cool in the 70s.
Yeah.
You didn't. So she was the weird one back then.
That's awesome.
I grew up knowing that it was okay to be different, because my mom that's just who my mom was, that it was okay to be unique and not do everything everybody told you to do. And then she got very into nutrition as far as vitamins and supplements. And so I kind of rode that wave with her. Of course, that was when I was middle school, high school. I thought she was crazy. You're so weird, like when you want to be like everyone else.
Totally.
But she taught me a lot. She taught me a lot about really taking control of your own health. She felt very strongly that we needed to be educated and take control of the decisions that we make health-wise.
That's great.
What about like medications, hospitalizations, healthcare?
Yeah, so I come from a family full of nurses. You're either a
Mm-hmm.
nurse or a teacher. So I became a nurse and my husband's a teacher. So it worked out well.
Mm-hmm.
He fit into the family. But so we definitely had a Western medical model. And I think too, although my mom was definitely crunchy, bent on the crunchy side, she did definitely run to the doctor for, everything, and sort of like, I'll go to go to the doctor, take a pill, I feel better. So
Mm-hmm.
I was raised with a little bit of both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And then I became a nurse myself. And so obviously educated in the Western medicine model, and was really there and comfortable there until my son, until Jeffrey was about
Oh.
3 or 4 years old. We had gotten some diagnoses. He was having some behaviors. We had met with a developmental pediatrician. And, the only thing that I was offered was pharmaceuticals. And I have no problem with medications. I gave it all day long. I knew a lot about it. I was comfortable with it. But for my son, I also, right, I knew what the pharmaceuticals do, but I also knew the side effects.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a mom, when I was looking at making that decision for my son through the lens of not just my nursing background, but as his mother, I just wasn't ready to go that route. And I was disappointed that it was the only thing that was offered to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to ask for alternatives. It was this one particular medication. I knew it came with a lot of side effects. I knew that it also, you could become addicted to it. And I was like, well, he's 4.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I was trying to look at what are we going to do when he's 24?
Mm-hmm.
This is a long-term thing. This isn't like, we're not going to fix his autism.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to, right? So this is something we have to manage long-term. I don't want to run out of options.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to initiate the conversation as far as like, what else is there? And it was great. She was wonderful. I appreciate her input, but it was sort of one of those, well, I mean, I guess you could try diet. Like,
I guess.
I've read a couple things about this, or, gluten-free, dairy-free, like, she's like, I guess, I mean, she really didn't have guidance.
Doesn't have the education, like literally
No.
doesn't
Amazing.
know.
Amazing.
No, and then I sat there and I went, well, I don't either. I'm a nurse. I took one nutrition class in all 4 years of nursing school. And I do remember, though, I remember very clearly being in the hospital. I worked in, most of my patients were surgical patients. And here they are trying to heal from a massive surgery or something. And, they ask for a snack. And I would go into the refrigerator on the nursing unit, right? And I would look at like the ice cream. I would read labels.
Yeah.
And it was all chemicals.
Yeah.
And you would read the water ice, and it was all like, it wasn't food. And I'm like, this is what we're offering our patients that are sick and healing, and they need the vitamins and the nutrients, and that, it always kind of didn't make sense to me.
Totally.
That's insane.
Yeah. And so really that was my journey started then, because I asked, and she gave me I'm not really sure. And I'm a researcher. And I was like, I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah.
And so
I
dug in. I was like, there has to be something. And I found a diet that I felt would be effective for him. It was for ADHD in particular. It's called the Feingold diet. Back in the 70s, it was really popular. It has some research that shows it's effective, some that shows that it doesn't. But for me, I was like, hey, listen.
Try it.
I mean, try it. It's not going to hurt him.
Yeah.
Like,
change the diet. Yeah, totally.
Certain foods and in 3.5 weeks, we had a different kid.
Okay, you have to tell us what you did.
Yeah, so it's called
Tell
the
us.
Feingold diet.
Okay.
And you can go, I think the website is feingold.org. But
Okay.
Basically, the premise is getting rid of all the food dyes, preservatives, all of the things that come from petroleum. So this was the scary part for me. When I realized that the preservatives that we use for food and the food dyes and all that come from petroleum, I was like, say what? How's that? Wait, how's that okay?
You're like, since when do we eat petroleum? What's happening?
Exactly. And I had no clue.
Yeah.
And so that was eye-opening for me. And then also with the Feingold diet, you get rid of natural salicylates. So the theory is that the salicylates cause the problem. So there's chemical salicylates, and there's also natural salicylates. So natural salicylates you can find in
some fruits and vegetables.
Yep, some fruits and vegetables. Yep. Yes, we had to get rid of tomatoes. And this was all
Oh.
elimination. You do it
Uh-huh.
for 4 weeks. You eliminate all this stuff, and then you add them back one at a time and see what your child's response is.
Okay,
That's awesome.
yeah, great idea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if anybody is interested in figuring out like a nutrition plan for them, this is what I always tell people. You need to do an elimination diet.
100%.
Because the issue is we go into like, oh, well, everybody's sensitive to gluten, so I'm going to cut out gluten, and then we still don't feel better.
Yeah.
And it's because we're not really getting to the root cause, and everybody's very different physiologically.
Totally.
So it's important to do the work, the legwork. And even though, you know, an elimination diet can feel exhausting, it really, once you do that 4 weeks, you know, once you do that 4 weeks and do the work,
so worth it.
you know it forever. You have so much more knowledge about your body. And so that was exactly what it was for us. I mean, we got rid, and the nice thing about Feingold too is they send you a book on everything that is approved, because they've done the legwork. And that's the big problem, is you don't even know where to start. Like you're like, I got to eliminate X, but you don't know, you're reading all these labels. You may not understand what they say.
Totally.
And so that was helpful. I called it like my Bible. I would walk in the grocery store and like, can I buy this? Is this of this brand, this flavor, or this whatever? But yeah, we did that. We did the elimination diet, and within 3.5 weeks, Jeffrey's behaviors his impulsivity, his excitability, his frustration levels, everything came down. He was a lot calmer. It was easier to work with him in therapy. He was late verbally, so he hadn't really started speaking until he was about 3.5. So this was age 4. So still from a verbal standpoint, he didn't have a ton of language at that point. So it made communicating with him easier, because he didn't get so frustrated so easily. And it was interesting, my husband, because I felt strongly that if Jeffrey was going to do this diet, we were all doing this diet.
We're the same way in our family. We're totally like that. All for one, one for all. That's
exactly.
right.
I was like, we're all in this. And when I learned that it was petroleum, I was like, nobody needs this.
No, not at
We
all.
don't need this. So we all did it. And my husband noticed a difference for himself. And he said, I think I've probably been borderline like ADD my whole life. It was just never, it never got in the way, but he's definitely one of those like squirrel, like, where do I go? Like, what's next kind of busy person. And he felt a lot calmer and a lot more focused. And so we've just kept it up. I mean, Jeffrey's going to be 17, 13 years later. We still basically, we'll let him have more, more cheats now.
Yeah.
That's
but
awesome.
as the regular daily lifestyle's the same, and there's occasional exceptions. Totally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't let him have like birthday cake if we went to birthday parties, because
Yes.
it's all die,
Yeah.
But now we can. I'm like, okay, you can have a piece of cake. Like, he handles it much differently now. Yeah.
And his brain's
That's
so
awesome.
much more developed now than it was when he was 3 or 4,
Yes,
right?
and he has coping skills, right? So when it's the behavior, when it's the frustration, he has different coping skills to be able to kind of ride that wave, maybe something not making him feel really good.
And he probably can feel for himself. So he's like, oh, okay, I'm noticing this because he's older. That is so...
And what's pretty awesome is that growing up like that and having you guys watch what he eats, and then him kind of noticing and knowing that that's something in his life, he's able to probably a lot more than like most people really know what's going on with himself.
Tune with
and that's
himself.
awesome.
That is super awesome.
And that's been a huge, I call that empowerment. Like, I've empowered him to be aware of what makes him feel good and what makes him not feel good. And at the end of the day, he will always need to live with someone. So coming to that realization was hard. But so I even feel stronger that he needs to be able to advocate for himself, because I may not be his caregiver forever. So if he's in a group home, or if he's in a situation where he has somebody else caring for him, I need him to be able to advocate for himself
That's
and
awesome.
say, that doesn't make me feel good. I don't want that.
Yeah, that's
And
perfect.
the truth is, probably in even those homes, they don't necessarily know the whole nutrition either, right? Like, it's like, holy smokes, there's... Okay, so to our audience, you guys, it's so important to be your own wellness advocate. It's so important to do your research and put the footwork in. It will change your whole life if you're willing to do that, and the life of your family and your children. So it's really, really important. For sure, I believe in that.
And by putting the legwork in for yourself, eventually you're going to be able to help others,
Totally.
yourself, your friends, your family, and pass it down.
Pass it down. Like, look, she's sharing this awesome information, and this is, 10 years later, 11 years at
So what's pretty
13
cool is we did the elimination diet. Our daughter, our third child, she had some like bump in the back of her neck or in the back of her head. And so long story short, our naturopath doctor lady said, just do this elimination thing, corn, sugar, dairy, fat, all these things. So we cut everything out, and it turns out to this day it's dairy. So we've been eating dairy this past like few months or something, 4 months she has, and she got little bumps in her body. And we're like, oh, we got to pull them off again.
And she immediately like drops 10 pounds. Like when she was 5, we did this, and like she immediately dropped like 10 pounds as a 5-year-old just by taking it out. So, I mean, maybe it was 7, whatever, but it was like a big deal. It was a big difference.
And so now her bumps are totally going away.
Yeah. And so I love that it's all in our control, right? Yes. Like, we have so much more power than we realize in our own lives when it comes to our health. And sometimes, unless you are someone like yourself and like us who actually take action, and you just think you only have to listen, right? Then you just have no tools, you have no options, and then you're just stuck, and you're living a less vibrant life because of that.
Well, but did you see the new Carl's Jr. commercial? There's a really good burger for sale. It's ridiculous what they push down our throats. I mean, I hate to get into the whole big pharma, the food industry, but it's like ridiculous. Oh, aspartame. Oh, natural flavorings, natural color. Like, come on.
No.
You guys are poisoning us.
Natural.
Straight poisoning.
So I do have a question. So that transition of him changing, was that hard? Or was it okay because it was your whole family doing it, back when he was...
I mean, it was hard. I talk about, I remember being the mom in aisle 4 at Whole Foods with, I had 3 little kids at the time. Jeffrey was 4, so that would have made my daughter 7 and the baby 1. And I was there with my book, and I just lost it. Like, I was overwhelmed and crying and, can I get this? Can I get that? Oh no, I would pick up the box and be like, no, it's not the right flavor, and put it back down. And what am I going to feed my kids? I mean, I had those moments. And that's why I'm passionate about what I do now, because I actually partner with other families that are like where I was over a decade ago.
That's
right.
Awesome.
And walk them through what I did and what I learned, because I didn't have anybody walking with me.
So you're championing them. That's so awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you know what's gnarly about that? Like, before I was a father, I was like just regular dorky dude, and I'm very judgmental, I think, probably, maybe.
100% judgmental. Totally not dorky.
Hold on. Okay, not dorky, but and I remember being on a plane and hearing some child cry and thinking, man, shut that kid up. And
terrible.
After being a father of 5 and a husband, and then seeing these situations, it's like, man, my heart just goes out to him. Like, what can I do to help? And then I also think, like, you hear this person did something to their child or something, and it's like, I think sometimes I used to think there's a fine line between, like, not shaking your kid, but I could see someone that is anything less than what I am, which is nothing, do something, want to do something, because they're literally at their wit's end. They don't have the capacity to be able to provide the compassion. So it's amazing that you're championing them probably at the time that they need it most. And I think that's pretty awesome.
It is super awesome.
Well, it's really scary. And I think too, when you're maybe going not against medical advice, but not
I totally know.
In line
yes.
with what they're recommending. As a nurse, I felt a little more confident, sort of being like, I'm good. I appreciate your advice, but I'm going to go this direction. I felt confident doing that. But somebody else who doesn't have that, I mean, I interact with doctors every day. They don't intimidate me, right? For much of society, doctors intimidate them.
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, even going into an office and saying, I have done my research and this is what I'm choosing for my family is easy for me. It's not necessarily easy for someone else. So to be there with them and walk them through that process and give them the confidence to present, and to empower them to say, I have to do what feels good for me. I talk about intuition a lot, and it's very important as moms and dads We are the ones that know our children the best.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to harness that power. And I think the Western medicine model, what we've done as a Western medicine provider is we actually take power away from people.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a problem.
Oh,
And
totally.
we need to start giving power back, because the bottom line is I can tell you to do X, Y, Z. I can write these I don't write prescriptions, but if I was a doctor, right, I could write these prescriptions, but I'm not going home with you to live in your body to feel how you feel every day. And so, the person, whoever is accepting whatever treatment or whatever, they're the ones living with that. And I would always say, I would look at my patients and say, like, I'm not the one in the bed. You're the one in the bed. Like, you have to feel comfortable with whatever it is that we're doing or providing, or the choices that you're making, because you have to live with them. I clock out at 7 o'clock. Like, I'm going home to my life, but you're still going to be here.
That's huge, because so many people, the majority are just like, oh, the doctor says take ABC, but AA is something that a million people use, and all those million people are different. So how do I know that A is going to work for me? How do I know A, B are going to work in good? Like, exactly. So I think.
Go ahead. And I feel like people just need permission. You guys, you have permission. Even a nurse is giving you permission to like do your own research. And we love doctors and we love modern medicine, but be in tune with your intuition and don't be afraid to say something. Like, I remember the first time I think I got any type of empowerment I'm not a nurse. I'm not a doctor.
Thank you.
No, but when I had my first baby and we went to Lamaze, and I remember the midwife teaching the class, like, she was totally like, you have the power. Like, I remember telling me, I'm like, wait, what? She's like, if you need to get up, you get up. If you need to take a shower, you take a shower. If you want to blaze hot water down your back, you totally can. And I was like, oh, I could just do it. Like, she's like, even if they tell you. Yeah, totally. Totally. And I'm so grateful that I went to that class and she taught me that, because that carried through the rest of my life as an adult with my children. Like, wait, I have the power. Like, even when they're like, no, you can't. I'm like, oh yeah, actually I can. Thank you so much. This is totally going to be okay. We're all good here. And so, yes, but it takes someone telling us sometimes for us to feel like we just need permission. Sometimes we just need permission.
It's funny too, because I've, in my life, I've had a teeny bit of like authority issues. But I teach that to my kids, not teaching it in a way, but it's like question everything all the time. And now they're questioning everything all the time. And I'm like, but you know
You're
what?
Like, can you question everybody else?
But I gotta take it. That's good. If you're going to question me, that's good, because then it will be less of a problem you questioning others too.
Well, and there's so many ways to get to the same destination. There is not just one way.
Yes.
And you have to find your own way. And it's okay if it looks a little bit different than somebody else.
Totally.
That's actually normal. We're all very different. And I was a Leche League leader for a period of time when my kids were younger. And what we would always say to the new moms is, this is a smorgasbord of information. You come in, you take what works for you, you leave the rest. Right? Because you get in, like, no mommy wars. Like, what is going to work for you? What's going to work for your baby and your family? And that, I carry that with me now, because I can make a million recommendations for whatever it is, but it may not work for every family. So then let's try something else. That's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally. I love
there's
that.
a million ways to skin a pear. Just being PETA friendly,
So why don't share when you started using natural solutions and kind of that journey?
Yeah.
So, I started with nutrition, right? So that opened my eyes to the problem in our food industry, which has just gotten worse, because that was even before we understood GMOs, I think. Like, really,
I know.
it was a while ago, the whole Monsanto thing and whatever. But that really opened my eyes to more herbal remedies too. I mean, my daughter suffers from a lot of allergies, so I went on a mission to kind of figure out how to help her, because we had done the Western medicine thing and it wasn't working well. And then I got to a little bit of a crisis point with her, actually, related to her allergies. And that was when somebody introduced me to essential oils. And it's funny, I laugh because I was skeptical. Like, I was like, what are these things? And this person's crazy. And, you know, but I was also at the desperation level where I think if I had walked into somebody's like back room and there was a witch with a cauldron and the Eye of Newt, I would have been like, take my money. Because I just want to help my kid, right? You like, it was a different mindset. Because I was just desperate for her. I was worried for her. She was uncomfortable all the time. And so I was like, okay, whatever. I'm going to try it. It's probably not going to work. I mean, that was literally the conversation, you know. And I got the oils, and I hadn't told my husband because I was like, he's going to think I'm crazy. But then we got them, and I was like, we're going to try this. And both my husband and my daughter looked at me, and they were like, really? Like, you're going to, you know. And I was like, we've tried everything else. Like, that was my feeling. And so we did. We tried the oils, and it was the first time in 6 months that she was able to breathe out of both nostrils.
What? Okay, what oils did you use?
I'm not exaggerating. And I'm glad my husband was standing next to me, because if it had just been her and I probably could have convinced myself it was something else.
Yes.
Like, I needed witnesses, you know?
I know. Did that really happen? Are you sure it's because the oils? Yes, it was.
And then I still was skeptical. I still was like, okay, fluke, right? You know, you kept using them and kept having success. And people think because my son's autistic that I got into the oils for him. And I didn't. He was actually the last one I used the oils on because he's my most vulnerable.
So you're
nervous. So I was like, if this is harmful, that's the last person I want to put in that situation, right?
That's awesome.
So I was more than willing to try on myself, try on my husband, try on my other kids, especially because verbally my other kids could tell me a little bit more like how they felt. Jeffrey, I felt like he wasn't going to really be able to say if something was bothering him, you know, in the same way. And so it took me quite a while. I would say probably a year and a half before I even started using them with Jeffrey and looking into like behaviors and sleep and like ways that I could better support him. And he was a kid that was sick all the time. I mean, he was in respiratory distress in the pediatric ICU because of the common cold virus.
What?
That was him. That was our life for the first 10 years of his life. He was probably hospitalized about 10 times.
What?
And it was always stuff that like my other kids would get, you know, they would get like the typical stomach flu or something, and they would throw up 3 or 4 times. And Jeffrey would throw up for 12 hours and need to go to the hospital and get IV fluid. I mean, that was even to the point where we got immunology involved, tested his immune system, like tried to see if there was something actually wrong, which nothing ever came back. And so that was when I said, well, maybe these oils can help support his immune system because, you know, I was doing the vitamin C, I was doing, you know, airborne, like I was doing stuff, you know, that you see on commercials or whatever. But also the medical community couldn't really help me. I mean, his lab work came back normal. So immunology was like, there's nothing wrong with him.
Totally. You're like, no, seriously, there is.
Like, this is not normal. This is not normal. Do you see his medical record? Like, this is not normal. And every time he would be hospitalized, they would kind of go, right? And so I was like, okay, well, what else can I do? And started really supporting his immune system using essential oils in particular for his immune system. And I wish, I'm sure you guys feel this way too, but I wish I'd taken like better notes exactly when we started everything, because he used to miss school 35 times a year. Easy.
Wow.
I mean, now he misses school like twice, and it's for like a doctor's appointment. And then maybe I'll keep him home all day for like, just to hang out with mom, which I never had the opportunity to do before because he missed so much school. And if he was actually going to school, it's like, if you actually feel good, you got to go.
Yeah.
Right. I never even had the ability to do that with him, to be like, oh, you have a dentist appointment at 11. Like, I'll take you out to lunch. You don't have to go back to school. Like, you know, like I couldn't do that stuff with him. And it was such a slow progression that now it's so much hindsight to look back and be like, wow, our life is not the same. Like, it is not the same. we were always prepared to go to the hospital. We were always prepared to drop everything and like, you know, run. I mean, Jeffrey ended up with the swine flu during the swine flu outbreak. Like that was the stuff that we dealt with all the time. And it was almost, my husband and I have the saying, like DEFCON 5, DEFCON, right? Like that, like we would literally speak like that. Like we're at DEFCON 3, everybody be ready. Like we would prep my mom, you may need to come and be with the other kids. Like that was the life that we were living, was when is the other shoe going to drop, and we're going to have to drop our lives and go take care of a really sick kid. And it was awful. Life was hard. I mean, it's hard with a special needs kid. Anyway, listen, it's hard with kids.
Regular kids.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Then you just add on special
More
needs,
stuff.
add
Yeah.
on, I was a working mom, right? Like work
immune
schedule.
issues. Yeah.
Yeah. All that stuff. And I started to see, oh my gosh, like he's improving, and his doctors were noticing, like, wow, like Jeffrey looks better, and you haven't been to the hospital in a while, and what are you doing different? And I was actually like, I didn't tell anybody because I was a nurse. So I didn't want to be like, so it was like my voodoo medicine, right? At home, quiet. I didn't want people to think like I was like, oh, you're one of them, right? Like, you're one of those alternative medicine nurses, you know?
That's so funny.
Yeah. And then the cool thing was, about 3 years into using oils personally and privately, like in secret, my hospital adopted an aromatherapy program. And so I was so excited, but I couldn't tell anybody I was excited, but I was so excited. I had like my personal oils in my purse, and I went to the aromatherapy. We had to do like an 8-hour course, and I got to start using them with my patients.
Nice.
And and it was so awesome because even though I knew they worked for me, I do think I had some skepticism. But I mean, I remember the first time I used it with a patient, and her immediate response, which I'd experienced personally, you know, here, she had nausea, and I gave her some peppermint, exactly like the policy told me to do. And her nausea went away. And she was like, and she even was like, wow, I feel so much better. And I was like, I know, like, so cool, right? So that just, it propelled me into a very different space to realize that I was actually being selfish by not telling people, because I had so many experiences over 3 years that I had not shared with people. And just even the journey with my son, and how many families are out there at the beginning of their journey that don't know what I know. Like, why am I keeping this to myself? Like, why am I being selfish? Because if I had somebody 13 years ago that could have like held my hand and been like, Kami, let's go this way, it would have been so much different for me.
Totally. It would have made life easier, quicker.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah.
Okay. So will you share some oils that you guys use in your home regularly, or tell us some?
Oh man. Okay. So all the oils, right? Every single
Yeah, I hear you.
I think a big thing is foundational supplementation.
100%.
So everything starts there. You have to, you know, when you look at a pyramid, what's the foundation, right? And the foundation for wellness is nutrition. Period.
Yes.
So you've got to get that buttoned up. And unfortunately, as we alluded to earlier, our American diet just is not awesome. And even if we wanted to get all the nutrients that our bodies need, we just cannot get it in our food supply, unfortunately. So really good foundational supplementation is important. Everybody in my house is on it, including my animals.
Oh, us too. I have our dogs on the Lifelong Vitality. Totally. Love it. Yeah.
Lifelong Vitality. My old man's on the deep blue polyphenols because he's got arthritis. So helpful. So so foundational nutrition. And then beyond there, we do, I would say probably balance is our biggest, like the one that everybody uses. I actually call it our good human oil.
Yes,
so
that's a good name.
We all want to be good humans. And I want to send out my family into the world, and people think that they are good humans, right? And that is an oil that provides that type of support for our family. So balance for everybody, including the dogs.
Absolutely.
And we also use frankincense. Hold on one second. I'm getting a call. Am I there?
Yeah, you're
You're
there
here.
now. Yeah,
Okay, I was getting a call.
that's okay.
So frankincense
Mhm.
is a big one. I mean, everybody needs frankincense every day, but the reason why we
Absolutely.
use it is its neurological benefits. So my son,
Mhm.
clearly with his
Mhm.
autism, he also suffers from migraines. So I
Mhm.
like to give him a lot of neurological support.
Mhm.
I use frankincense for its emotional benefits. It
Mhm.
is very grounding. I would always say, when I first started using frankincense, it was I was becoming perimenopausal. Yay, 40s. And I would wake up feeling like I have so much to do, like swirling, like already anxious, already kind of wired. Like I
Mhm.
wanted to like pop out of bed and like there's just so much on my plate, the overwhelm. And I had been managing that pretty well. And then all of a sudden, with the perimenopausal hormone shifting, I was really struggling to manage that well, to bring myself down. And so by
Mhm.
adding frankincense to my regimen, it just gave me this. I always say I went from like to like this. Like,
That's
okay, I
great.
still have the same to-do list, but
Mhm.
I can accomplish it.
Totally.
You
We're gonna
know,
get it
got
done.
me out of that swirling place.
Yeah.
So
Which one?
frankincense is huge.
And how are you using it?
So I use it internally.
Okay.
I
So
do
in like a veggie cap or
in a
just
veggie
under your
cup or a
tongue?
couple drops under my tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
I
sure, we do that.
actually, because I take so many oils now, like my oily regimen in the morning.
Mhm.
I actually got a 30 milliliter dropper
Oh, and
glass
just
bottle.
combine them?
So yeah, so I have in there. I have frankincense, equal parts. Frankincense, copaiba, yarrow palm,
Oh, yes.
slim and sassy.
Yes.
Because pause. Can you feel me? Pink pepper,
Yes.
and that might be it. Yeah, that might be it. So equal parts of each in that 30 milliliter glass bottle. You can get them on Amazon.
Mhm.
And so then I just fill a veggie cap with them. I'll do like 8 drops of that blend in a veggie cap. I'll take that every morning. I carry frankincense with me, and that way I can do a drop or 2 under my tongue if I'm in a circumstance where I feel like I might need a little extra support.
Yep.
And so I use that. We use copaiba a lot. Again, copaiba is neuroprotective. So frankincense is helpful for your neurological system, lots of anti-inflammatory properties, but the copaiba is really neuroprotective, as is turmeric. Oh, that's in my blend too. Turmeric.
Turmeric. Gotta have
Yes.
that.
So neuroprotective, especially with his history of migraines and his autism, I want to really protect as many brain stuff as I can give him.
Absolutely.
And so that's really helpful. And then the other really big oil that we use all the time is Serenity. Serenity every single night in every single diffuser on everybody's feet.
Yeah,
So,
that's a great idea.
It's awesome. I love the oils that you use. We use the same oils. 2 questions. If you were going away for a month and you had to choose one oil, what would it be?
One a month.
One oil.
I know. Terrible question.
So for me or my family, which answer do you want? Can I give you different answers?
Both. Yep.
Okay. So for me personally, it would actually be Digestion.
Oh,
So
nice.
I have IBS.
Oh.
And I am very asymptomatic now, but
Mm-hmm.
that was life-changing for me.
Wow.
So if I was going away for a month and in a place where I couldn't maybe control what I was eating, like I do at home because I'm sensitive to dairy or whatever. So Digestion is the one that's like in my purse. I laugh if I go to a wedding or a special event, you pull out your purses that you
That's
only,
right.
and like that's the oil that will be in there. I'll be like, oh, I left like Digestion's there. So for me personally, it would be that. For my family, it would probably be frankincense.
Yeah,
I mean,
frankincense.
Balance has some frank in it, but you can't take it internally. So I would like the flexibility to be able to use it topically or internally.
Nice. Second question. Negative effects. What negative effects have you noticed using these oils throughout your life?
Oh, so I was going to say, what negative effects?
I saw it on your face.
Right. So yeah. So in all honesty, really nothing. The only thing I've ever noticed, and I did this to myself, was I overdid DDR prime.
Oh.
Do not recommend taking 8 drops at one time. I did. Dumb.
Okay.
But I'm kind of glad I did that because what I got was a massive detox feeling. So like sweating, stomach hurting, had to spend some time in the bathroom. But I lived.
Yeah.
Like it was uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
but I was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't recommend it. Absolutely. That was not smart on my part at all. But I just felt like I got a really good colon cleanse. Like I always tell people, like I scrubbed clean. That's good. You're starting fresh.
Yes.
But again, it didn't like compared to a side effect from a medication. Like if I had taken 8 times the amount of a medication, right?
Mm-hmm.
The circumstances might have been different. So I think we need to understand safety,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to understand that they are potent.
Mm-hmm.
We need to understand that less is best, less is more, right? Don't overdo it.
Yep. Honey.
Like all of that is very important, but it was also nice for me to be like, I'm fine. Like the next day I was fine. I didn't miss anything. It was, I was like, okay, not going to do that again. You know, even my husband, he uses peppermint a lot. He's a runner and he runs early in the morning, like 4:30 in the morning. So he'll do a little shot of peppermint on the roof of his mouth. And one morning he grabbed Breathe because it's dark and they're the same color labels, right? And so he did that with Breathe and he was like, what? I mean, it tasted gross. He knew right away. And Breathe is not for internal use, but like he was fine.
Yeah, he's not going to die.
He's not going to die.
Totally fine. Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah.
It was just, you know?
So it's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Throughout the podcast we've done, a lot of times people say there's side benefits.
Side benefits.
Instead of side effects, it's side benefits, right? Because you're using an oil for one thing and it happens to be addressing something else or helping something else. So it's pretty cool. And I think the most we've ever felt, I think you talked about it, was a little bit of skin sensitivity. Her mom had a little bit, but that's all we really ever heard of, right?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes people, like, I have a friend who she's really allergic to, like, the lavender plant. Like, if she walks by a lavender plant, she has an allergic reaction, so she doesn't use the lavender essential oil, and that's totally fine. The other brilliant thing is there's so many oils that, like, it's okay if you can't have one because you got, like, 100 different ones to pick from. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And so many oils do multiple of the same thing that there's so many options.
Yeah,
I just love it. I just love it.
The crossover is pretty awesome.
The versatility is huge. And when you really understand the chemistry, when you understand, like lavender, for instance, has a high concentration of linalool. Linalool is what gives us the calming properties. But do you know what else has a high concentration of linalool? Magnolia. So you don't like lavender? You like magnolia? Fantastic. And people will say to me, well, how do you know whether you should use it topically or internally or, aromatically? And I'm like, you get to choose. And that's the part that I love. It freaks people out sometimes because they want a prescription. They're used to getting a prescription. Take this 3 times a day for 10 days. Yeah. But when you really take power and you empower yourself of your own health, choice is important. So I fluctuate in how I use the oils. It just depends on my mood that day or what. And I love that I have that ability to do that. And that my kids can say, I just want to throw this on the bottom of my feet today, or I want to set up my diffuser today, or whatever. When people come to me and they're scared of taking them internally, I'm like, okay, don't.
Totally.
You don't have to.
Totally.
You don't have to. It's fine. Wait until you're more comfortable. Read this research. Do this. Like, that's the beauty of it, is the flexibility and the versatility.
I love that. I know I always tell people the best way to use them is the way you prefer the best way. That's it. You got 3 ways to pick. Just get them somewhere on you. Or, in your, diffusing, people don't realize it gets in your bloodstream from diffusing. Like, either
it doesn't
way,
just smell good.
It doesn't just smell good. It's getting in your body. It's awesome.
The beautiful thing, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
go.
From the science perspective, is the beauty of using oils aromatically or even topically, because you're smelling them, is your smell receptor, your olfactory bulb is literally right behind your nose, and it's millimeters from your brain. And so you're having a response to the aroma. Your brain is already in gear before you're even consciously aware of what you're smelling. So I love this for our special needs kids, and especially for behaviors, because you can start to get them to activate their brain before they're even consciously aware that they're smelling anything. So it doesn't need to be a conscious process. It's a subconscious process. And that's huge. And when you create scent memories, different scent memories, you really harness the brain and the emotional benefits of the oils, which I didn't really realize for a long time because I was medical, right? More on like the science. But the emotional benefits are so important. And you can really just support the whole body that way. So you're not just getting the physical benefits, you're getting emotional as well and activating that brain.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
that is so awesome. So will you tell the audience, I know you kind of briefly went through like kind of what you do, but will you tell us what you do? And we would love to have your contact information so we can post it with your episode. So people who watch this and they want to work with you, they'll know how to get a hold of you.
Oh, absolutely. So I am a nurse aromatherapist, but I also coach and mentor special needs families, particularly, or really any family that's looking to make that lifestyle shift.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody's looking to really dig into like where their lifestyles maybe not benefiting them and making some different choices, that's where I come in. So I actually hold monthly challenges so that families can come in and interact with me, see what I have to offer, do a ton of education and Q&A time during that challenge. And then you can opt in to coach with me for a longer period of time. So I'm going to walk you through every single, I talked about that pyramid, right? Like start with the foundation and just build on that, and how to use not only essential oils and supplements, but also behavioral benefits. We really dig into nutrition a lot. We dig into toxins a lot, your environment, how to control the things that you can control, which is really your home. And so I'm going to walk you through that whole process. And I am really big on simple steps. Because what happens is people get overwhelmed and therefore they do nothing. So I'm there to walk you slowly through the process, because that's what happened to me. I did one thing at a time, and so that I wouldn't get overwhelmed. And so what simple step can we make that's going to have a lasting impact in your life and on your family? And that's where I come in to help guide you.
That is so awesome.
Excellent.
So your challenge, is that on Facebook or is it?
I do it through Facebook groups.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a Facebook page, and then I will, notify everybody when I'm going to have my next challenge. It's going to be the end of this month. We're switching things up a little bit this month, rebranding a little bit, like kind of tweaking things. So it'll be at the end of August, but then the intention is to do it every single month so people can come in. It's a really small price point. It's only $37 for a full 7 days with me. And so it's a private Facebook group, and then we go through all the education, and then you can continue to move on with me if you'd like.
That is super awesome. Good job providing the value. That is awesome.
Nice. So as we wrap up here, do you have like a final message you'd want to say to your audience, our audience here?
Your life and your health is what matters. And I'm sure people have seen the saying, like, if you don't have your health, that's all that matters to you, right? Like that. I forget exactly what it says. And we shouldn't take our health for granted. I have seen in my practice too many people feel too sick for too long. And it's really important that you take back control of that. And you can do it slowly, and you can do it not necessarily easily. I hate to say easy because it's not really easy, but it is so worthwhile that when you get to the other side, which is where I'm at, the other side of that tunnel, it's amazing the vitality and the energy and the happiness and joy that you can find on the other side. You just got to do the work. And so I really want to empower people that you can have a different life. If you're not happy where you are, if you're not feeling good, you don't have to feel good every day. If you're not feeling good the majority of your days, there's so many things that you can do to help yourself that don't cost a lot of money, that aren't super difficult. Little things, simple steps can make such a big change. And I just want people to feel empowered to do that, because it's possible. It really is possible.
Absolutely. And you're an example of that. So
Absolutely.
Thank you so much
Thanks
for being
so much,
a
Kami.
guest on our show, Kami.
And thank you so much for watching. Once again, we're not making any claims, but it's just amazing. It's so amazing to hear Kami's story and kind of her journey through life, and how, like she said, little changes and big changes, they all affect us all so differently. So I think, trying something out, trying something new, trying to make yourself healthier, and actually take steps and pay attention to your body, I think that's super important. And especially in this day and age. I mean, It's just so insane.
Like, own your life.
Yeah.
My friends, own your life. Decide that you're going to take control. You're going to be, you are empowered, and with proper tools and knowledge. And you guys, we live literally in the best time, like in all time to live, whereas right now. We can have the best of both worlds. We have the option to get diagnosed and see medical doctors when we need to. And we have the option to literally eat the best foods all the time if we want to and make those choices.
And we're empowered to actually have first, second, third lines of defense and offense for sicknesses and issues that we have in our home on a daily basis. And so why would you just put that in the hands of someone else, everyone else? And I know it's difficult. I mean, so many things are getting rammed down our throats with this mainstream media and commercials and things like that. And everything's so easy and it's here right now. But is your health worth taking a little bit more time to prepare that food, or to use those oils, or to not go to McDonald's or Jack in the Box? You know what I mean?
It's just really a shift. And I feel like it's always the hardest at the beginning, because it feels like, I don't know where to start, and you feel overwhelmed. But as soon as you start, like, as soon as you make a decision in your brain, like, okay, this isn't working anymore, I'm going to figure out something else, right? You can reach out to Kami, you can reach out to us. Like, we just want to know, we want you to know that you are in charge.
Not only that, but just the amount of support that's out there.
Totally.
Probably some of your neighbors are doing some good. And if not, someone down the street is. And if not, there's a group locally. And it's like, if you're going to go, I got to go get this ramen or this, why don't you search out a little group that is eating healthy or something? You know what I mean? There's so many different ways to be able to, within your grasp right now, without spending a dime. So
all the knowledge is right in your phone.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much again, Kami, for joining us.
Kami.
Thanks to all of the billions and billions of people out there watching this.
And you guys, so like, share, spread the word, because our mission is actually two things. We want to educate. We just want to provide personal stories from the real people, what is really working for them, so you know a possible option for you. We're not making any claims. We're just saying this is what worked for them, and maybe it could be an option for you. Number two, we want to share your stories. So if you are someone who you're like, oh my gosh, I do have a story to share, message us so we can get you on the calendar.
And it doesn't have to be doTERRA. It can be Young Living. It doesn't matter. We just want stories about essential oil stories. We want to share all of it. Except for Walmart oils.
Yeah, no Walmart.
Target,
yes,
none of that.
No.
Anyway, thanks again. Thanks again, Kami, for joining us.
And her information is posted below, you guys. So
thanks for joining us out there.
Reach out
to
the
her. UnAlteredE experience.
Yes.
Have a wonderful day.
Have an amazing day. Woohoo, woohoo. Have a good one, my friends. Aloha.
Thanks, everybody.